Welcome to the Shelf Examination Podcast, where we examine items found on the shelves of our local library. My name is Joe. I'm the makerspace guy in southern Utah.
And fixer of all things broken.
And things are breaking.
Oh boy. And I'm Sarah, and I am the reference librarian here at the Hurricane Branch Library in southern Utah and a guru of geeky.
You mentioned that things have been breaking. Yeah, it definitely feels like that. We've had 3D printers in all of our libraries for about 8 years now, and I've really enjoyed them. But
we had the 3D printer before we ever had the actual maker space.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that we're hitting about the lifespan of those 3D printers, and it's time to replace them. And then federal funding's getting cut.
Yeah,
so huzzah!
we got them through grants, and now those grants are getting fewer and further between.
Yeah, we do need to sit down and apply for more grants, and that is something I don't know if any
grant
of
writing is tough.
Grant writing is not fun. It's not a fun process. It's one of those things that makes normal adulting feel like okay.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, I'm glad I don't have to do this every day of my life. Although
No
there are
kidding.
people who are so good at it. That's their job. They're amazing. People hire them just to write their grants. I love it.
And
But
I'll tell you
I
what,
am not one of those people.
If any of those people are willing to get us some grants to
Some pro
upgrade
bono.
to upgrade the heck, you could take a percentage. I don't care. I'd be at peace with that. And then we've also got summer reading going on.
Oh, my word. Summer reading. This is the last week of our big activities for summer reading. Today we had a magician.
Ooh.
And, he's amazing. He's so good. He's also a...
Is this the same guy that they get up in St. George, or is this a different
Well,
guy?
we have two this year.
Okay.
At the beginning of the summer, we had Max the Magician, who
Yeah,
is
he's the same guy.
wonderful. Yeah, and then we also have Ryan Gray,
Oh, okay.
Magic of Ryan Gray.
I have seen Ryan Gray. He also does balloons, doesn't
Yes,
he? And he
this
and I
time he
compared.
didn't do balloons. This time
Yeah.
he did bubble magic.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
it
fun.
was
I've seen
really
some neat
cool.
stuff with that. He and I compared notes because I used to be a balloon guy.
Oh, there you go.
I got very into doing balloons and kind of worked my way through college
with
those.
the size of the crowd we had today, the balloons weren't really possible. We did 2 shows because our crowds are so big, and our first show had approximately 227 kids in our small room. Don't ask what the capacity of that room is. Don't ask.
It's 230. Easy.
Yeah,
No
sure,
problem.
And then I wish. And then the second show was almost as big. It was.
You got to
over
maintain
200.
plausible deniability.
Yeah, it was almost as big. So
Wow. Well,
it was crazy. It was
but it's-
crazy, but the kids loved it.
Yeah, it's a good program, kids. So take your kids to the library.
Yeah. Oh, this afternoon we have a teen activity.
Okay.
It's our bad art contest.
Oh my goodness.
It has 3 rules. You have to be between 12 and 18.
Yeah, I've already lost.
I know, me too. I want to play, but they won't let me. It has to be clean. There's no suggestive or pornographic or anything like that. And it has to be colorful.
Okay.
The theme is release your inner art goblin.
Now, are they going to be producing the art there,
Yeah.
or are they going to be producing the art before that?
No,
and
they have
having-
to.
okay.
They have to use.
So they have to do art
have
at the time.
8 by 10 canvases, full canvases,
Ah.
and we have paints and beads and glitter.
Oh, boy.
I know, and even worse, we have confetti.
If Van Gogh had glitter, it would have
Starry
destroyed
Night would have been really starry.
Starry Night would have been cool, actually.
But
Come to
we
think of it,
had,
now I want to do a glittery Starry Night.
And we have fringe. We have feathers. We have pom poms. Hot glue. Every type of glue you can think of.
Boy.
Googly eyes. And we have 3 prizes that patrons get to vote on them for the next week. It's worst, worster, and worstest.
What if somebody actually uses these supplies though and produces an actual good piece of art?
Well,
do they get
funny-
to keep it?
Yeah, we'll give it back.
Okay, good.
Ours, we did. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Nailed It. It's a Netflix show.
No, I don't
where
know
they
that one.
they have
Why
professional.
do I not know that one? I feel
I
like
don't
I should
know.
know
It's
that
really hilarious. They have professional bakers and cake artists and things that make these amazing cakes. And then they find people who, would qualify to be on Worst Cooks in
Oh,
America.
okay. I see. I get where the nailed it's
they
coming
give a
from now.
picture and the ingredients and say, go forth and make it.
And they end up
See if
making
you can
something
nail it.
right.
Yeah,
right.
see if you can nail it. Well, we did the Nailed It Art Challenge.
Okay.
They had 1 hour. They had to recreate a masterpiece from the ages, and we had a bunch of them printed out and turned face down. So they had to pick one randomly. I felt really bad for the gal who got the Mona Lisa. Because she's
Well,
like, no pressure.
Yeah,
But,
I mean,
and they had 1 hour to do it.
we can't even figure out why everybody loves that one, but everybody loves it,
They just want to know what she's smiling about.
Yeah.
But they had 1 hour to recreate it with whatever paint and craft supplies we had here at the library, and they missed the point of Nailed It, which is to suck.
Well,
they were all really good.
See, that's the thing. The Nailed It thing comes from memes where people like try to reproduce something and do a bad job of it. But I feel like if you're throwing down the gauntlet,
really
you're going to get
try
people
to be good.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is we were expecting at least a couple. If I had done it, we would have had stick figures and round.
Now,
fat
come
things.
on. You've got an artistic slant. I mean, mind you, most of what you do is in textiles.
Yes.
But I feel like that a certain amount of your skill in textiles would translate to visual arts.
Maybe.
Maybe not. I don't know.
This year, everyone did such a good job. So when people go over to vote for who actually nailed it, they're like, everybody did. Even the Mona Lisa gal who had to pivot halfway through.
Okay.
She was like, there is no way I can make it look exactly like Leonardo da Vinci, because people have been trying for however long and no one can do it. So halfway through, she's like, no, I can't make it look exactly like that. So she pivoted and did What If the Simpsons did the Mona Lisa?
Oh my goodness.
So it's
so
cartoony.
easy. It is so easy to do that, but at the same time, in this context, that's a brilliant idea.
It was so smart. It was great. But yeah, we had someone doing Girl with the Pearl Earring. Oh, and we also did it where half an hour through, we did a quick art history quiz. And some of the questions really threw them for a loop. But we did a quick art history quiz. And because if you've ever seen Nailed It, halfway through the show, one of the bakers for accomplishing something, they get an advantage over the other bakers for however long. So the one that scored the most points got to choose a color that nobody else could use for 10 minutes.
Ooh.
So
that nobody else could use.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, eliminate... What color would you... Because everybody's doing different things. Like, if everybody's doing the Mona Lisa, eliminate flesh tones.
Yeah,
but,
this gal was smart. She picked... The one who won, she picked blue. She picked a primary color that is almost impossible to mix. Yeah. I got to tell you, the gal who was doing Starry Night at that point was almost in tears.
Yeah, I imagine.
She's like, I can't do blue. So she worked on the yellows and the blacks in the town and stuff. And then when the 10 minutes were up, she was like, hallelujah! Blue is mine again!
She's about to enter her blue phase.
Yes, but Picasso. But yeah, actually one of the questions that we asked that threw him for a loop was... what artist nefariously cut off the ear of Vincent van Gogh?
Wait a second. Now, hold on. Vincent van Gogh is the artist.
Exactly!
Wow, I had to think laterally for that one.
And looked at us for a minute, and they're like, wasn't it Vincent van Gogh? We're like, yes, it was.
Didn't he do his own ear? Hold on.
That's the
Why
most
would
popular
you ask
belief.
it that way? That was genius.
It was a trick question. I know. It was great.
I mean, it wasn't a trick question in that it was a answerable real question, but the way you asked forces the brain to go, wait a second, did he have a friend that we didn't know? I mean, I suppose if you had to cut off your own ear, it'd be easier if you had a buddy to call over. Who was he contemporaries with? Pablo Picasso wasn't
Monet.
for another 40 years.
You're
yeah,
like, hey, Monet, come on up and help
yeah.
me with this now. But the other one that we had another Van Gogh question, which was, and it was almost a trick question, which was, how many paintings did Vincent van Gogh personally sell in his lifetime?
Oh, yeah. My understanding is like very low number.
1.
Okay. I was going to say either 0 or 1.
He sold 2, but his brother sold the second one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, personally, he only ever sold 1. Everything else he used, as in trade for food or rent or whatever. Yep. And now they're all worth, they're priceless. They're worth millions and millions of dollars.
But at the time, people were like,
he
what
died
is
a
this
pauper.
stuff?
No one liked his stuff.
He was still, yeah. I think though,
and that Doctor Who episode just makes me sob.
I cannot think about that. Doctor Who episode did such a good job of portraying not just Vincent van Gogh. They did a great job with that, but also the portraying
bipolarness of it, and
bipolar
how
disorder.
lonely he was because of it, and how hard Amy tried to reach out, knowing
the end of the story.
Yeah. And not trying to overtly say like, hey, dude, don't kill yourself, because you can't do that.
No.
Because then you're just planting that seed in his mind. And then when she gets to the end and he died the same way. But
he
the
had
picture
added,
changed.
She had
Amy.
an influence. Yeah. And such a good episode.
It was so beautifully written.
Beautifully written, beautifully acted.
And, it's got the ponds in it, so you can't go wrong.
No, it has a pond in it because at the time...
Rory wasn't there yet.
Rory was in a dimensional between space. Yeah. But that was it was a good episode, really good episode. Well, speaking of good episodes, this was not.
This was not it. This is why I'm like spinning my wheels here.
Yeah. Well, actually,
stall, pull up.
we do have a lot to talk about, but we are talking about. So we
Gamera.
had in our collection, we had the next movie that we were going to do was Gamera Guardian of the Universe. We actually have all three of these in a DVD set.
We also have them in a Blu-ray set.
A Blu-ray set, yeah, that's right. But we have them all three together.
So remember how we talked about some movies in old school where they were doing the special effects and they should never be Blu-ray?
Yeah,
this is a prime example.
I did
Do not
notice,
watch this in high def. Do not watch it. If you ever have a chance to see it in IMAX, don't go.
There was a lot of things. So I need to set things up real fast because we are not just going we're not going to record. Now, I don't know at this point, depends on how long it runs, but we are not going to record just one. We are going to record the entire trilogy as we are sitting here because we both sat down and watched the entire trilogy. And we watched the entire trilogy
hoping it would get better.
Yeah, it was more like ripping off the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Like, just get it done.
Just get it over with. But let's start at the very beginning, which I hear is a very good place to start, with Gamera Guardian of the Universe. Now, we need to mention this was made in 1995, and the last movie that we reviewed on our series...
Clear back in the 60s.
...was 70s.
70s.
Did we make it to the 80s? Let me pull up the list of movies. I want to say it was like at least 76.
Yeah.
Terror of Mechagodzilla in 1975.
Yeah, so the 80s were kind of... Well, at least as far as our collection is concerned, a dearth. There's
Exactly.
a dearth of kaiju.
And there are some really great kaiju movies in that era
Just
that
not in collection.
Yeah, that I definitely want to go watch myself, but they're not in our collection. And in the interest of moving things along, they're not going to be in this
Side
podcast
note,
at this time.
If you go to your library and they do not have what you're looking for,
You can always request it.
there's a couple different things. If you are in a system like we are, say my small branch doesn't have it, but maybe another small branch in the system does, and they will send it to you for free. If they have to go outside of system, there's interlibrary loan.
Mm-hmm.
Or if even that doesn't work, you can, as long as it's still in print, you can request the library to purchase it.
Yep.
And if they do that, you will automatically be the first person on hold for it. So, and that's not a guarantee that they're going to get it, because if they look at it and they're like, okay, one person in the entire area is going to want to watch it, and then what do we do with it?
But maybe this podcast will take off and people will demand that we see the rest of them, and that'll drive up demand for it, and then we'll have to
then it'll be amazing.
And then we'll have a season where we come back and re-review some of these ones that we missed. But for now, we're skipping the 80s, and I feel that that because
there were some good ones. But...
and a lot of them were Gamera movies.
Yeah, there were.
The first 6 Gamera movies were in the 80s, and a lot of them got lampooned by Mystery Science Theater 3000,
if you can see the MST3K versions, that's hilarious.
And people know
funny.
Gamera because of that.
That's where I first met Gamera.
But this is not one of those.
No, these are the reboot.
Yeah, and so they rebooted the series.
This is
in
like the DC New 52s.
So for those who haven't watched Gamera Guardian of the Universe, let's read the synopsis off of IMDb. An ornithologist, this is our pretty girl, and she's a sassy pretty girl.
Oh boy, I
loved her. She was great.
She was like the only saving grace. I'm going to be honest, at least. I was like, yes, girl with personality, yeah!
Yeah, she was awesome. So Sassy Pretty Girl investigates reports of a monstrous new species of bird just as a teenage girl is gifted an amulet found on a mysterious atoll that looks like half of a yin-yang symbol.
Yep. It was kind
or
of...
Or it's what is that, Prince Albert drop or something like that? I don't know.
Yes, it's kind of a Prince Albert drop nod to...
I need to look that up because it might not be Prince Albert, and if Prince Albert means what I think it is, I might have just stepped my foot in.
But it's either a yin or a yang.
It definitely, though,
but it's also kind of a nod to Bikini Atoll.
Well, and it's also a nod to the fact that this is making her be half of what Gamera will be.
Exactly.
Continuing on with the synopsis, as the creature begins to attack, an ancient guardian with a bond to the girl emerges. So, in the original Gamera movies, according to my research, it was very similar to Godzilla.
Yes.
where they blew up a nuke somewhere. It awakened some ancient monster, and he came forth. In this movie, can I admit, I kind of love the origin story for this creature.
That's why when I first started watching it, I was like, oh, okay, I'm invested. I'm invested.
Yeah, because in this story, ancient Atlanteans bioengineered Gamera to be a protector.
Right.
When I was in college, I drew up a story for a video game where you would be going out, kind of like Indiana Jones, going out and researching various things and eventually finding these ancient giant monsters that you would use various artifacts to be able to control and fight other giant monsters. And this was a video game I wanted to make. Gamera basically stole my notes, and I love it. It's great.
You just need some residual checks here.
Yeah, but as I was watching this, in the back of my head, I was like going, I wonder if they're going to tie this into Godzilla.
Nope.
Because I didn't know.
It's a totally different world.
It's not Godzilla.
It's a totally different production company.
It's it's not
studios.
It's not Toho. It's not Godzilla. It is its own thing, and in Japan, it's huge.
It is huge.
But watching this movie, as I was watching it and thinking, when are they gonna tie this into Godzilla or whatever? They don't, and I'm thinking this feels a lot like, hey, we've got Godzilla at home. This feels like Wish.com Godzilla. Well, it turns out it's because that's what it is.
Yeah, I was like, okay, if Godzilla is like Aladdin. Disney's Aladdin.
Yeah.
The animated version.
Yeah. The good one.
Yeah. Then
the only one
then
that exists.
Gamera is more like Return of Jafar. Low budget, just trying to get it out there to fill the hole. And,
I don't know. I feel like it's more like the cheaper version of it that's animated that is called Aladdin, but that isn't Aladdin.
Done by Saban or
exactly. Yeah, Saban probably is the one who brought it in. No, it was a very interesting feel to the whole thing. But once I got over that, I will say, as we go on talking about these movies, we will have a progressively less
to say
positive opinion about them because these movies get worse.
I'm going to say it should have been like The Highlander. There should have been only one.
There should have been only one. Because while I was watching this movie the first time, and I'm looking at my notes and I'm going, man, I really didn't like this movie. After watching the other two,
it got
and
better
coming back
and
to it, I'm like, going, man, this movie wasn't too bad. You know?
It got shinier and shinier in your mind.
Yeah, it reminds me. So I served a mission. Actually, about the time that this aired, I served a mission for my church in Singapore. And when I was going to Singapore, everybody was talking about, oh, Singapore, it's so clean and everything like that. And I get to Singapore, and it's all right. You know, it's nothing. It's fine. But then I spend, a couple of months there and go across the border to Malaysia.
Woo.
And in Malaysia, I experienced filth in ways that I have never experienced before in my life. I saw a woman walking down the street, adjust her sari, and drop a log while she was walking. I saw a pile of trash with a sign sticking out of it that said $500 fine for littering. It was not a sign with trash around it. It was trash with a sign sticking out of it. It was that level. I walked over a sewer grate and got blasted with a smell that made my eyes water. And I came back to Singapore and it was sparkling.
It's all about perspective.
It's all about perspective. And I'll tell you what, while I did not love this movie while I was watching it,
they got better.
After watching the other two, I came back to this one and I was like, this ain't so bad. This ain't so bad. I will say this movie starts strong.
It does, but it doesn't live up.
No, it doesn't. It's not bad. It starts.
You keep sounding like you're trying to convince yourself of that.
It's not as bad as the next ones are, but it
No,
starts
it's not.
strong.
It's not.
With the tanker or the plutonium ship crashing into an atoll, and they're like, "What is this?" And then they find out that it's not an atoll; that it's
actually a creature.
A creature. It was that did that end up being Gamera? But then they start being attacked by these flying monsters. What were they called?
What were they called?
Yeah, I'm going to have to look it up and
find
out the name of these monsters. Because they come back in the third movie.
Do they? I didn't get that far.
Well, the name of them comes back
okay.
in the third movie, but yeah, it's in name.
No,
only.
I got into movie 3 and just
couldn't even finish it.
I couldn't. My brain was rotting.
So in order to trap these flying monsters, somebody has the great idea of, hey, let's use the domed arena, and because it has a top that'll close, and so they start pulling out the plastic cows. Like they're setting out meat to trap it, but it is so very
bad.
clearly
They're obviously
a
plastic
cow.
It was like they didn't want to have to put the 2 lines at the bottom. No animals were
No
harmed
animals
in
were
the
harmed. No,
production.
they made
in the
very
making of
clear
this movie.
that this was a big inflatable plastic cow. It wasn't inflatable, but
it looked it.
It was not a real.
It was not
a real cow. And then they capture the monsters, but then they start shooting at them, and 1 or 2 of them escapes, and then all of a sudden, Gamera shows up.
Dun, dun, dun.
And one part, so these movies were preachy. Like from beginning to end, they were preachy. But in this one, they wanted to really demonstrate how stupid military is, because they're looking at this giant monster and they're like, should we engage? And he goes, we don't have any authority. Really?
What?
Are you sure about?
Now,
are you sure
I will
about
say,
like contingencies couldn't be?
No,
brought
I
into?
will say, a lot of militaries work that way.
That is true. No, and our military works that way.
Not
as
much
well,
as you would think. See, that was one of the things in World War II. France had a belief that if you called for help, you prayed an American responded. Because if you got a British,
they had to wait for
or a Canadian or someone, they would say like, okay, we'll send the message up the chain of command, and as soon as we get here word, we'll come help you. Where the Americans are like, well, all right, here we come, which is good in the fact that they can wing it, but is also bad when you want them to be one place and they're someplace else.
Yes.
Which would drive the other militaries bonkers.
But at the same time,
it kind of depends on
it kind of depends on what we're doing at the same time. So, yeah, but that moment of like, we can't attack the monsters because we haven't got our chain of authority. I'm like going, man, are you really trying to make this point as loud as you can? Come on. One thing that I thought was interesting about Gamera is Godzilla has this iconic sound when he screams, right? Yeah. Gamera sounds like a combination of a girl and a screaming goat. It sounds like a girl goat. Gamera does not have a great scream.
I was expecting to have like a Miss Piggy wig and then faint. You know?
Yeah, it was not a good scream for Gamera. And the worst part is, I feel like they tried to fix it in the later movies and they just couldn't. But this was also movie number 7.
Yeah, I know.
And they were like, no, we got to go with the iconic scream. Oh, man.
You can make the iconic scream clearer, sound better, give it a deeper vibration.
That large have that high pitched, like, would that even be possible? That would be like
Not
getting a
his
whistle.
Throat is like 2 inches long.
Yeah, that would be like getting a whistle out of the biggest pipe on a pipe organ. Like, you just can't do it.
Yeah,
it was the weirdest thing ever. So then we get this scene where the people are being attacked and they're on the bridge and pretty sassy lady. One thing that I love about this movie, there was a handsome boy.
Yes.
There was pretty girl and there was handsome boy, and she did not give 2 cares about him.
Not a bit.
He did not care about her. That was not the story.
No, And she didn't need the handsome stranger to rescue her. She rescued herself. Thank you very much.
She was the one on the bridge carrying the kid across during this scene. Now, what I hated about this movie was that we had a pretty girl and we had a pretty boy, and they did not care about each other at all.
I was like, why did we introduce these two?
There was an opportunity for character and development that, admittedly, the love story thing. The love story thing is easy to satisfy. It's a trope, but it's a trope for a reason, because it gets the job done. And this movie didn't have anything else to replace it.
Even in any other culture, you can, from any other culture in the world, if you introduce a handsome boy and a handsome girl.
We expect them to at least have a moment looking at each other. That did not happen in this movie.
You're building into expectation.
Yeah.
And when they just were like, meh, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, where's the rest of this?
They didn't give a reason why they were just meh.
I think
other than
it's more realistic, I suppose.
We didn't want to write that in.
Yeah, exactly. They wanted it to be a real relationship, and a real relationship does not in these circumstances. Like in these circumstances, people don't time out and go, well, I think I'm going to fall in love with you now. And so they wanted to lean into that, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
But it was to the detriment of the movie. I liked it, but I didn't like it.
I mean, much as I love the Sass, I loved her so much.
She was great.
Every time he came on the screen, I'm like, why?
Yeah. And I don't know.
Because they never gave us a reason to care about him.
Here's the worst part is, I can't remember his character's name, but that's nothing new. Two, I can't remember if he comes back into later movies or if they bring somebody else for her to be interested in, because he made so little impact.
Exactly.
None
I was
whatsoever.
Like, there he is. Oh, look, he's back. What is he doing? I don't care.
So there's this scene where they're trying to rescue the kids, and they're like, there's one more kid across the bridge with one of the teachers, and it's her, and she's carrying the kid across the bridge, and then the monsters show up, and Gamera shows up, and like at one point he takes the hit by covering them with his hand. And I gotta say,
I liked that scene.
I like that scene. I don't know if that was the scene, but I enjoyed that scene in this movie.
I was like, okay, look, we've established that Gamera has been created to be a guardian. Look,
yes.
he served his purpose.
He's doing guardian stuff.
He knew the job. He
Yes.
got the memo.
And this whole time, there's this other girl. And she's
Less sassy girl
and younger girl. She's a
Yes.
schoolgirl, and she's got the necklace. And
which is kind of like the girl that has the implant the in Mechagodzilla.
Yeah. She's got a tie to Gamera, and I gotta say, this tie, it comes in, like, for the rest of the movie, we are exploring her tie with Gamera, and I don't get it.
I don't either.
What is it for?
I have no idea.
Because it's not like she's telling Gamera what to do.
Right.
The only thing she's doing is telling all of us what Gamera is thinking or feeling during time. And
I was like, suddenly she has narrator abilities.
Yes. And when Gamera gets hurt, she gets hurt.
Yeah.
So is she, like, what role is she playing?
Do they have a symbiotic relationship?
Obviously she does, but what does she add to this relationship?
Right.
Does
Other
her
than she's
taking...
the interface between humans
Except
and Gamera.
she's not the interface,
I know.
because we're not interfacing with him. He's still just doing whatever he is, and it's
She's
just so
the
that we
explanation. She's the footnotes.
She is the exposition machine.
Yes.
Gamera runs on exposition, I guess. And here's the other thing that really bugs me. And I don't want to jump ahead, but I'm going to jump ahead here. She gets cut up during the final fight because he's getting cut up during the final fight. So I'm thinking, is this what her role is? Is she taking the pain so that he can go on with her tiny little scratches against his mile-long gashes? Sure, why not? And then as soon as the fight's over, he waves his hand and all of her cuts go away. What was the point of them then?
I don't know.
Why?
I mean, if I was playing Dungeons and Dragons, I would think, they cast a shield other spell.
Sure.
And so you're taking the damage.
The hits, the damage, and maybe in a lesser amount, but still.
At the end of it, he reverses the spell so it comes back to him. But I don't think...
But they never played into that.
They never really said anything about it. Now, that's
existed.
D&D land. That doesn't necessarily mean it's Gamera land.
Well, they're both fiction, so we can pull from one to help explain the other. But I think that it existed purely so that we could have exposition as people, so that we could have a character in the story who goes, yes, Gamera is actually our friend, and he's thinking this and doing this. And that is important, but on the greater scale of why,
they did the same thing with Mothra, and I like the Fairy Girls a lot better.
They
had more purpose.
Yeah, they actually did more than just tell us what Mothra was thinking. They advocated for her.
They advocated for her. They were like, hey, don't do this. That would be stupid. They were, actual characters with actual thoughts of their own.
And they were a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
So there were some cool scenes in this.
Yeah, there were. Like, Rodan had the scene. Mm-hmm. This one had a few scenes. I don't know if they had except for the covering up the girl, the lady.
There was a
bridge.
scene where the military is like, we're going to use these fancy tracking missiles to attack. And I have to go back and remember if they were attacking Gamera or the other bad guys. I think they were attacking the other bad guys, but they're like these fancy tracking missiles. It'll track them no matter where they go, and then they fire them, and the monster doesn't move.
Yeah.
The monster's like, "What's your tracking doing if I don't go anywhere?" And he just tanks the hits.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, we could have just done that with like C4, you know?
Wow, we just shot off $6 million.
Yeah, can't track nothing if I don't run.
So now it's the $6 million monster instead of the $6 million man.
Probably more than that by the end. There was a scene in this one where Tokyo Tower gets attacked again.
Well, yeah, it's just so iconic, man.
And they break the top off of Tokyo
I know.
Tower.
I was like, oh no, they actually broke it.
And then the monster perched on it, like as if to add insult to injury.
Mine now.
Mine now, suckers. I kind of love that one. I was like, that was so mean.
I mean, they did okay giving the monsters some attitude, but
Yeah.
they didn't give them purpose.
No, but they were a formidable opponent,
Yes.
and they were definitely something that matched Gamera without just being dark Gamera.
Yeah, it was. They were a good foil for Gamera. It
Yeah.
wasn't just like Gamera shows up and walks through them.
The
which
other thing
nice,
is, though,
but,
and in this movie, a lot of the times people were like, for a surprising amount of the movie, the military was like, okay, we're going to destroy Gamera and keep these birds around.
and we
Because
were
they
like,
thought that the
"Say
birds were the
what?"
good guys in this case. And
Yeah.
everybody who knew that Gamera was the good guy was like, you guys are dumb. But it's interesting. It was an interesting story take
Yeah.
to me for them to be like, let's side with the bad guys on this one because we think that they'll be less destructive, which actually that's a decent argument for doing it.
But at the same point,
At the same
They're-
point, yeah,
they're
the
the-
good guy is the good guy.
yeah, and
so.
and these guys are really pushing that agenda. They got that agenda. They're gonna push.
Well, and there was a lot of that in there. Like I said, it gets super preachy a couple of times when they were like, well, we're destroying the environment, and that's why this is coming, and we need to stop destroying the
I'm sorry.
environment.
I liked Nausicaa better. Let's let Nausicaa tell its story. We don't need to repeat it over and over and over and over.
Or take a time out to explain it to
Yeah.
the audience and all that, you know. That it's that one scene that just drags down a movie, and I don't care whether you're, you know, on the side of the planet or on the side of whatever. If you take time to slow down the movie so that we can have that moment, you get preachy, and I don't love it.
Yeah.
Again, not a big deal, but the final fight in this movie, where Gamera
Yes.
and these gyros.
Gyros.
I finally found them. Go flying into space.
I know. I was like, let's take.
Godzilla never did that.
Well, he's a little kind of ground bound.
Yeah,
but-
but Gamera got rocket engines,
I
and they were like,
know.
"We're going to take this all the way to
Yeah,
space."
I was okay with them going into space because they didn't destroy Tokyo for the billionth time.
Yes, it was a very cool scene. It was a very cool final fight.
It was cool. There was, some of the special effects, like I said, it probably would have looked better if I wasn't trying to watch it on my HD TV on a Blu-ray where it just made all of the
rubber suits and stuff like stand out.
just
Yeah,
make it more obvious. The wire foo was like, look, there's a wire and there's a wire and
Yeah.
there's a wire. And
it wasn't bad. And like I say, that final fight totally sold it on me. I
did enjoy
in
the final
end,
fight. I did cheer.
Yeah, in the end, overall, in the balance of things, I kind of like this movie. And when they got to the end credits, that music went way harder than it
was
needed
so
to.
awesome.
It was kind of good. I don't remember. Now, again, we missed the entirety of the 80s, but I don't remember any Godzilla movie ending with a rock ballad, and I kind of loved it.
I loved it. No, I was like, oh, who sings this? I have to look. Yeah, that was the thing I wanted to look up the most was who sang the last song.
Who sang that song? Did you
don't
ever find out? Okay,
remember.
we'll find it out later. But
I was like, it kind of sounds like X Japan, but don't quote me on that.
so while we're at this point, we are at the end of our review of Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, and let's put it on our ranking list. Now, our ranking list has mostly the same movies on top
Yes.
and mostly the same movies on the bottom. This movie, I feel like, is in Rodan territory. But is it as... Okay, so for me, I put Rodan all the way at the very bottom. I would say Mothra versus Godzilla. Godzilla raids again. For me, it's fighting against Godzilla raids again. Do I want this to be higher or lower than... I'm going to put it higher than Godzilla raids again myself. Just thinking about this one. It's not the best movie. It's kind of sad, though, that a movie made in the 90s cannot rise above on my list cannot rise above movies made before I was born. Before I was born.
Well,
Come on.
and I think a lot of it has to do with the B story, the lack thereof.
The lack.
They introduce it and then do nothing with it.
That is true. This movie didn't have a strong B story. Like we said, its final fight was pretty good. The fights in between were pretty good. But you're right. There was no significant B story in this movie, and I think that's what's dragging it down. There was no human element for me to get attached to and care about.
No, I actually...
Which is funny because Gamera is all about having a human element that he connects to.
Exactly.
So they built this into the story and then forgot to build it into the story.
Right? Right? Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that. I want to put it before Godzilla Raids Again.
Okay, so so you are putting it second to the bottom. Man, that doesn't bode well for what follows.
No, what follows is below Godzilla Raids Again.
I guess for you, it's just a question of, is this going to be... which one of them is going to be on the top and which one of them is going to be on the bottom? And I already know what the answer is. So,
because I couldn't finish 3.
Joe from the editing desk cutting in here to say we're going to cut this episode in half. So we will see you next week where we will be discussing the other 2 movies in this trilogy of Gamera movies. But if you are enjoying our little conversations, be sure to do all the engagement things. Leave a like, leave a review, leave a comment wherever you're watching it. And also take some time to examine the shelves of your local library and see what you can find. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you next week.